Welcome to the channel. Don't forget to give this video the thumbs up and share the link to this video around your social media feeds. I've been watching some videos on other channels that have been making predictions of what they think is going to happen in the coming year, and I could do the same, but I'm not going to. My reasoning is that in my private conversations, when I make a prediction, I'm usually right in general, but not in the specifics. For example, when the Tories took power in 2010, I said there would be lots of protests and deprivation, and I was right. There were protests and deprivation rose. The only thing I was wrong about was the scale, because I actually thought better of the British public and imagined many more protests, and that those protests would be much larger than they actually were. And despite my lack of faith in humanity, I even thought that the deprivation would be less than what happened. So I was right about the overall events, but misjudged the scale because I put too much faith in the idea that people might be appalled enough to protest, but blinded myself to the fact that the great British public is basically apathetic. And I thought my natural inclination to think the worst of people hard enough to think that no one would be as murderously sadistic as the Tories became. Unfortunately, what I foresee for 2026 would make a goth seem deliriously happy, even at the more optimistic end of my predictions. So I'm going to make light of the coming situation and say what I'd like to see happen. A cosmic wish list of karmic rewards and retributions, if you will, which I will present in no particular order. I think most people would agree that a total end to hostilities in Gaza would be a nice New Year present, but that's unlikely given that Benjamin Netanyahu is a grade A psychopath propped up by equally psychopathic genocidal government ministers. However, I do believe that some light can be found in this ongoing affront to humanity. It's already well known that Israel's economy has taken a severe hit due to the genocide in Gaza. The Israeli military is struggling to find troops to fight the endless wars that Netanyahu insists on starting with all the neighbouring states, and hundreds of Israelis have decided to flee the country because of the constant danger Netanyahu is putting them in. Now, I have a solution that would help out Israel and rid the UK of the most rabid pro-Israel advocates at the same time. Right, bear with me. What I'm suggesting is that the pro-Israel Jewish population should be allowed to show their commitment to the country they have so much affection for by being encouraged to bugger off to Israel, thus removing the danger to the rest of the UK's Jewish population from this country and replacing the Israelis who have fled Israel. Fair exchange, no robbery. You may ask, where are the displaced UK Jews going to live? And I'm glad you asked. Here's the good bit. The people who have fled Israel will have left their homes empty, and the incoming UK Jews will now be officially Israeli Jews. And we all know that Israeli Jews have no problem illegally occupying other people's land so they can move into the empty homes. The now newly settled former UK Jews, being officially Israeli, will then be liable for the mandatory military service that all but the ultra-Orthodox Haredi men have to undertake. At the moment, Haredi men are under threat of having their exempt status removed due to the lack of soldiers willing to return to active combat. So this new influx of pro-Israel UK Jews, with fire in their bellies because they love the country so much, can replace the lost soldiers, and the Haredi men can remain exempt from military service. There are just two more things that need to happen to complete this picture. Israel's economy is under threat because a lot of companies are pulling out of Israel and relocating somewhere safer. But there are Israeli companies operating in the UK, such as Elbit Systems. The way to help Israel's economy is to encourage the Israeli-owned companies operating in the UK to relocate to Israel, which will bolster the Israeli economy and protect companies like Elbit Systems from the vile terrorists who have sprayed paint on their things and tried to close down their operations. No Israeli-owned targets means no more need for all the clampdown on the OAP terrorists of Palestine Action. Simples. The final thing that needs to be addressed are the non-Jewish pro-Israel lobbyists and the pro-Israel members of parliament. I'm sure that Israel would welcome them with open arms for all their help in preventing Israel from being held to account for its genocidal acts, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. So they should be encouraged to relocate to Israel so they can become liable for mandatory military service and can fight to protect the country they have given so much for. This helps Israel build up their military forces again and removes Israeli influence from the UK's political system. It's a win-win. Now, how are we going to pay for all this relocation of individuals and companies? Another question that I'm glad you've asked. It wouldn't be right for the UK government to have to pay the cost of relocating so many people. So the assets of the individuals being relocated would need to be liquidated and seized to pay for the relocation, which I'm sure they'd be only too happy to do because they aren't happy here in the UK and love Israel so much. Non-Zionist Jews can then live in relative safety due to the fact that the pro-Israel troublemakers have left the UK. I say relative safety because we've still got the far-right nutters left here, but it's a start on making it safer for them. That's the major issue sorted. So let's get on to something just as important but smaller in scale. The political system in the UK needs fixing, but we need to do a little groundwork first. First of all, I'd like to go to a gathering of the Your Party set-up team and metaphorically bash their heads together until they get their act together. I also think that there should be a left-wing organising committee to coordinate working together so that all the left-leaning political organisations are working in concert. And that's something that could be started in 2026. I'd like to see people who attack people with mental ill health force-fed large amounts of illegal drugs until they have a psychotic break and end up getting sectioned and treated like shit, just as they do to us. I'd like to see every MP who voted for the austerity measures that killed so many people during the last Tory administration, regardless of what political party they belong to, brought to justice and perhaps remove a limb or two from the architects of the austerity programme and the benefit cuts. I'd like to see someone have the balls to arrest Tony Blair for his war crimes in Iraq and see him in chains in The Hague, along with all the members of Parliament who have provided political cover for Israel and made the UK complicit in the genocide in Gaza. I think the UK should be harder on immigrants. No, not on refugees, asylum seekers, or the illegal migrants coming here in small boats, but on the migrants who came here and their families and now viciously attack people who come here trying to improve their lives or escape dangerous situations in their homeland. The descendants of those migrants who made a good life here and made plenty of money out of the UK and now wish to pull up the ladder behind them should be sent back where they came from at their own expense. The remainder of their assets should be liquidated and seized, with the money being used to build proper accommodation for refugees, asylum seekers, etc. Did I mention that Nigel Farage has German forebears? And if Suella Braverman and Kemi Badenoch can't find somewhere to live in their forebears' country of origin, I'm sure Braverman can arrange accommodation in Rwanda. She seems to know a guy there. I want to see Rachel Reeves sent on a remedial maths course in 2026. Don't ask me why. I want to see MPs who actually have some knowledge or experience put in charge of the government department that matches that knowledge. I know it's a radical idea, but it would be nice to see someone attempt it. Now, those things would give me some pleasure, as much as I can feel pleasure. I'm less able to feel pleasure. But those things aren't for me personally. So I'm going to end with what I want for myself in the coming year. I entered a competition in Doctor Who magazine, and the prize is a load of Blu-ray box sets and CD box sets. I really want to win that competition because I need the replacement cases. I'd really like everyone who watches my videos to share a link to each video to at least one other person, so I know I'm not doing this for nothing and I might get a few more views and subscribers. I want the DWP to leave me and all the members of the disabled community the fuck alone because our lives are miserable enough without them persecuting us. I'd like someone to help with my attempts to create a new political ideology and help develop policies based on that new ideology, policies that might actually change society for the better. And finally, I just want a country that I can be proud to live in, because it sure isn't that at the moment. Don't forget to click the like button, share this video on your social media feeds, and feel free to let me know what you think in the comment section below this video. What do you want out of 2026? If you'd like to see more content from me, why not subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you know when a new video or community post has been added. And I hope to see you all again soon.